so happy to be here today.
Quick edit note on the video, please be sure to watch to the very end because, yes, in the first part of the video we talk about some really tight market conditions, but we really produce some solutions later on, so be sure to watch the whole thing. Hi, so welcome back to the channel. Wanted to take a little bit of time today and talk about market conditions. So as we're shooting this is the beginning of May in 2021. Now we're going to be talking a lot about Central Ohio, but the same basic principles will apply no matter what market you're in. Right now, the entire United States is experiencing a housing shortage. So there's different solutions and different ideas that can be brought to the forefront. And standard disclaimers here, I am a realtor. My friend here is a builder's rep. However, this is general advice. Advice that fits you should come from your realtor. So with that, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Let me take a minute and introduce my friend here. So Erin Edwards is with Rockford Homes. They're a semi-custom builder here in the Central Ohio market. Personal story, Erin helped me and my wife build our home. And she's also a real estate investor. She's also one of my clients. So beyond just that professional relationship, she's also my friend. Oh. So welcome to the channel.
Well, thank you, Rich. I'm excited to be here today.
So do you want to take a few minutes and just tell the folks about your background?
Sure.
And where you come from and how you got into the building business, and then we can jump into the topic.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, my name is Erin Edwards. I am a sales rep at Rockford Homes. I've been here for about 6 years now, and I've sold in about 6 of our different communities, so I've kind of been around the block of Central Ohio a little bit. How I got into new home sales is kind of a funny story. I actually just woke up one day and decided I wanted to change careers, so I reached out to a friend of mine who is also a new home sales rep, but used to be a realtor, to kind of find out what are some of the pros and cons of both approaches. And instead of answering my question, she said, hey, why don't you come be my assistant? I'll teach you lots of stuff. And years later, here I am.
So there's a little career advice for you. Start out working for someone who knows what they're doing. My assistant Sarah is becoming a realtor herself. And actually, Sarah used to work for Erin. So
small world.
It's a small world, and it's amazing how it comes around. So there's been a lot of demand, a lot of talk on the internet about the housing market.
Yes.
And it is nuts right now, at least in Central Ohio. So many markets, I hear from realtors all over the country talking about the shortage of homes. Just a couple of small stats. I don't want to get all into the weeds and get all boring, but the estimates are that we are 50,000 doors short in Columbus right now. Along with that, in about the next 30 years, we're going to add 1 million people to our existing 2.1 million people in the greater market. So that creates a lot of concerns about the real estate market. Are you seeing unusual activity coming into your model, and how are you handling that?
That is the understatement of the year. It has just been complete craziness in my model for about the past year or so, but more specifically in about the past 2 months. Rockford as a whole has seen a huge uptick in sales. Not exact numbers, but I want to say that we've probably sold about double already for this year what we sold last year. So simply put, there are more people in the market than homes. So we're building lots of homes, but because so many people are wanting to build homes, it's leading to kind of a bottleneck where the homes are taking a little bit longer than they normally would.
So is a lot of that being attributed to maybe pandemic related? People are stuck at home and all of a sudden they look around and it's like, I hate my house? Or are you seeing more just I'm looking for the investment? Or, how would you break down the people who are coming in?
Just using this model here as a case study, it's almost sort of a perfect storm. Interest rates are historically low, which is driving a lot of people into the market who maybe otherwise wouldn't be. The pandemic, yes, a lot more people are working from home and possibly also homeschooling their kids, so space is definitely a factor, which might drive someone to look for a bigger home or just a home more suited to their needs. And then just the overall housing shortage and people, that have been going out every weekend with their realtor looking at the resale market and getting frustrated because they're getting beat out on every offer they put in, or they don't even like the house, but it's the only thing in their budget and they still can't get it. So that's driving a ton of traffic to the models.
The resale market is just really, really competitive. So how does someone sell their existing home taking advantage of an epic market for sellers? But yet the question comes in, how do they go buy something without overpaying or without, quite frankly, having a difficult time getting an offer accepted? So one of those options is obviously building. Multiple homes, when they come on the market, within days they're receiving multiple offers, and not everyone can buy the same house for sure. But when I bring in someone into a builder's model and we start talking about ways that they can build smart, not necessarily adding in all the bells and whistles and all those kind of things at builder prices. You can still get bells and whistles, but sometimes things are great values with builders. Sometimes they're not. Nothing personal.
That's fair.
But it's a great way to consider how to cash out on this epic, epic market, but still be able to buy smart. So now that we've scared everybody with the market conditions, the good news is there are solutions to these dilemmas. One of the reasons I wanted to do the video with Erin is because she shares some of my philosophies on how to build smart. So let me define that a little bit further. I believe that you build smart by building a house not only to meet the needs of you and your family, but you also build a home in such a way that the market value has good opportunity for increase. You have protections against market conditions changing, and that gives people a good value when they go out and build a new house. For years, building a new house was not thought of as a good value. It was thought of as a luxury. In this kind of a market, roles have flipped. Now all of a sudden, you can look at building as the value option, where buying existing is just kind of crazy right now. So let's use my personal example from building my house. I think good little story time for everyone. So I came in and I sat down with you and I said, okay, I'm a cheapskate. You probably remember that conversation.
I do.
And I said, I want to build a value home, but I have all of these special things I wanted in a house. My wife and I were building a ranch floor plan. We were moving my mother-in-law down. Now this was pre-pandemic, but we were moving my mother-in-law down to live with us, and we had some special needs because of a health condition that my wife has. And I walk into Erin's model and I said, okay, I want to do this, and I'm a cheapskate. So what were the things that went through your mind when you heard that, first of all? And then secondly, what was the process that you went through to say, okay, which floor plan do we start with? Where do we go?
Well, interestingly enough, Rich and his wife had actually been looking at a different floor plan with another builder. So they had a pretty good idea of some of the features and the general flow of the house that they wanted. So I was able to track down one that was pretty similar in some ways. But what we did was customize pretty much the entire house into almost a completely different house.
I think there's 3 walls that are in the same place.
Probably accurate.
So to give you an idea, we wanted a full walk-in shower because that would accommodate certain situations. We wanted to create a full apartment within the house for my mother-in-law. So not just a little room and a bathroom. We wanted to create a full apartment for her, including a sitting room, a kitchen, everything like that. So we came in, we found a floor plan that would accommodate that. And here's where a semi-custom builder can actually help to address these things where some of the more track builds, those kind of things can't really do that. So in this particular floor plan, there was 2 bedrooms that were together. There was a big bathroom that separated the 2 of them, and that came off a common hallway. So Erin actually came up with the idea to move the bathroom back, utilize the hallway space that was gained for a kitchenette, create the sitting room in the front room by putting in a bay window, and then still having a nice sized bedroom for the actual bedroom. Then simply put a door on it, and all of a sudden we had a pure mother-in-law suite. That's something you can do with a semi-custom builder that you can't necessarily do with a track builder. Track builder meaning they have a floor plan, they might have a couple of structural adjustments that they can make, but that's about it. Now, Rockford has something similar to that. So this is one of their brochures, and it has different options that are built into the floor plan. But you don't have to work off of this floor plan, right?
No, not at all.
What kind of changes would be acceptable, and what kind of changes are kind of over the top?
Really, most changes are acceptable unless there's, for example, a structural reason why we can't do something, or if it's just something so strange that, it could affect resale value of the home, then I might discourage a buyer from doing that. Are you sure you really want this kind of thing? But generally, as long as we're not taking out a wall that's going to cause the house to fall down or something, we're pretty open to doing structural changes.
So right now, post-pandemic, we're seeing a lot of situations where both members of the couple are working from home. Are you seeing requests for like 2 offices, for example? Now, while that might sound good today, the question is, once things get back to normal, which we all hope that is soon, but once things get back to normal, how can we disguise 2 offices? Or what can we do to keep that resale value up where not necessarily are we going to need 2 offices, in the near future, hopefully?
That's actually pretty easy. If you're using our Bradford floor plan as an example, it comes with a den, which can also be converted into a guest suite, but let's just say you wanted to keep it as a den so that you have that office there. It also includes a formal dining room, which can easily be made into an office by adding, say, pocket doors at the opening between the entry and the dining room, and then adding a pocket door between where you would walk in from the dining room into the butler's pantry and then the kitchen. So if you sell your house and somebody doesn't want 2 offices, they can either just take out the pocket doors or just never use them, and they've got a dining room.
So you see, these are the kind of changes that you think through when you're looking at design. And once we get into the value aspect of this, we'll be talking about structural changes, which is what we're talking about now, versus cosmetics. And that's where you really can get the value, is in the cosmetic end. So other structural changes that we're seeing, obviously home offices. Mother-in-law suite was starting to become a huge item pre-pandemic, but now it's becoming a massive request of a lot of buyers. These are structural changes. These are the things that, quite frankly, you build into the home up front. Things that you can't change after the fact. So now let's talk about some of these more cosmetic items, okay? And let's use this floor plan. The Bradford here is one of their more popular floor plans. And when Sarah edits this, she'll probably insert a shot of this so that you can see what we're talking about. So let's say someone comes in, they want a 2-story floor plan, they want 4 bedrooms, maybe even a 5th, something on the first floor. You're probably thinking this Bradford floor plan up front. So, okay, someone comes in, they want to build it. Formal dining rooms are kind of going out of style now, but that floor plan has a formal dining room. When you switch that over to make it an office, let's say we created those pocket doors, just a rough idea, how much do you think that would add to the cost of the build?
Probably around $1,500, I would say.
So for $1,500, you get an office right at the front entry that can be a dining room, that can be an office, and all of a sudden, now you have what we now call flex spaces, meaning it can be used for an office, it can be used for a dining room. There actually is one thought that I had for that, how you could actually make it a first floor guest bedroom. Or if the neighborhood allows it, or if the community allows it, even an Airbnb bedroom within the house so that people didn't have to come all the way through the main part of the house to get there. When you look at customizing floor plans like that, what would be an over-the-top change that you've heard someone come in with that you're going, wait a minute, let's think this through?
As far as an over-the-top change that I maybe wouldn't recommend, I once had somebody want to, so the Bradford comes with a 2-story great room, which we can enclose to make a bonus room or just a loft. I once had somebody want to enclose that and make it into 2 separate bedrooms. So basically it was like, I guess 6 bedrooms on the 2nd floor, which sounds good, but that just, the way they wanted it done would make for some very tight bedrooms and just a very tight feel to the entire 2nd floor.
So there's an example of over-customizing. 6 bedrooms on a 2-story floor plan. There's a law of diminishing returns when you're looking at the number of bedrooms. 3-bedroom to 4-bedroom, great increase in value. 4-bedroom to 5-bedroom, you get a little bit of increase, but that 5th bedroom needs to have a utility purpose. So like it needs to be first floor. But once you get into 6 bedrooms, and then with that particular floor plan, you would have a 7th bedroom being on the main floor. And let me guess, they wanted to put 2 egress windows in for bedrooms in the basement as well.
They didn't think of that quite as well at that point.
That the difference in value between a 3-bedroom and a 4-bedroom is substantial. The difference in value between a 4-bedroom and a 5-bedroom, less. 6-bedroom, 7-bedroom, etc., that value drops way off compared to the cost that it would take to put it in. So I can just imagine closing off that 2nd story, and you're losing something that adds value. You're losing a 2-story great room, which is very eye-appealing. Maybe, again, have Sarah insert a picture of a great room from that floor plan. Very eye-appealing to now just a flat. It would take away from the value.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So cosmetic changes is the other area where they can see a lot of value. Now I can relate my particular situation, and maybe Erin can throw in some of her examples. I was going to put specialized flooring in my house, went to the design center, they gave me a quote, and it was a lot. It was $23,000, the upgrade value. Just the additional cost was $23,000 for the flooring that I wanted to put in my house. And I thought that was a bit high, so of course I questioned it because I'm a cheapskate. So I decided to get a quote from a flooring supplier and had them come out. They looked at my floor plan, measured everything out. Everything, new floor, no no exchange of value, no nothing. The new floor in the house was $6,800. Now that's probably the widest gap I personally have ever seen.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, it's huge. But that's an example, though. Someone next door builds the exact same house, and then they add that flooring to it. I just gained $14,000 on them because I knew to price that out. The other one is I literally just heard this not that long ago. Someone wanted to add a deck with a builder.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's the dirty secret within the building community. Builders don't build decks. They hire a subcontractor who builds decks for a living. And then they add a markup on it. You're not going to get a better deal by building that deck into the cost of the house. So what are some other things that you would recommend that people go out and get pricing on?
I would say things like countertops. Honestly, our granite and quartz prices aren't too bad, but I mean, sometimes you could find a really good deal on a really unique slab of granite through an outside vendor. Landscaping, sometimes you can save quite a bit doing your own landscaping. I mean, obviously some will come standard, but versus upgrading through the builder, you might be able to save a little bit of money if you just, buy your own shrubs.
Yeah, huge price
like
differences in upgrades through the builder versus going to your local nursery and picking them up.
Then other examples would be appliances. Again, our appliance package prices I don't think are too bad, but sometimes you can find really nice appliances on sale or through a wholesaler or something like that and save some money. Window blinds, probably another big one.
Huge. I can tell you because we just went shopping for window blinds, even different vendors. For my particular house, I have a lot of windows in my house. Exact same product, exact same manufacturer. And there was almost $4,000 difference in the cost of the blinds. It was crazy that it was that much different just between two vendors. You mentioned landscape. Let's talk about outside.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about decks a little bit. Financing a deck through a builder built onto a house, I don't think I've ever recommended that someone do that because you can get such a better deal and, quite frankly, get a better product.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want a maintenance-free deck, you're going to pay through the nose through a builder, where if you're looking at designing your deck and coming up with a custom design, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but even with a semi-custom builder like Rockford, they're going to have a standard size deck with standard materials. We're not going to get into a lot of design features and those kind of things. And to be honest with you, one of the areas where you can add value to a home is that outdoor living space. So whether it be a deck or a patio. Patios, same thing. That's outdoor landscaping is what I consider it to be. So let's say you were building your own home, which you're going to be soon. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Even though you work for the builder, what items, you mentioned appliances, that's a huge one, which, by the way, appliances are in short supply right now. So if you do decide to schedule a build, first thing you should do as soon as you sign the contract, go find your appliances and go get them ordered.
That is good advice.
Yes, especially if you're doing smart appliances, because those are in really short supply. But what items are you going to look at yourself that you can say, okay, here's the things I want the builder to do, and here's the things that I'm at least going to shop the builder on?
Oh, yeah. The biggest things I'm concerned with getting done through the builder would be structural options, like a full basement, possibly a walkout basement, depending on the lot. Things like adding another bathroom, cathedral ceiling in the master, things like that there's just no really good way to do after closing. Things like flooring, possibly even countertops I might do on my own. Appliances, definitely. Definitely upgraded landscaping and then an outdoor living area, patio, deck, depending on how the lot is.
And I would add lighting fixtures to the
Yes, that
to the
too.
mix. I know that we personally did lighting fixtures just because my wife didn't want the hassle of doing it after close. She knows what my schedule's like, but I can tell you we way overpaid for the light fixtures in our house. And if I would have had more time, then I might have done that separately. So, related to the pandemic and this value build concept, are you seeing a lot of buyers coming in taking that approach, or are you seeing more buyers coming in and saying just do it?
I guess even outside of the pandemic, the majority of buyers I encounter say just do it. Sometimes if they're a little bit budget conscious, I'll suggest things like that. Like, you could always do the structural upgrades through the builder and then, replace your own flooring after closing. Sometimes they're interested in doing that. More often than not, people kind of look at things differently and they understand that they're paying for the convenience, so they want us to just do it.
So, obviously there's the two trains of thought, the value conscious. The people who are attracted to me are typically going to be the value conscious items. Do they get treated any differently than someone that comes in and has basically an unlimited budget?
No, of course not.
Yeah.
Everybody has a budget. I always joke that it freaks me out when someone says they don't have a budget, because everyone does, whether it's 200,000 or 20 million.
Yeah. So when someone is considering a builder, now obviously you work for Rockford Homes and you think they're the best builder, right?
Of course they are.
Of course they are.
Obviously.
Right? So someone comes into a model, they're not coming into your model. What are the questions, let's say they are value conscious. What are the questions and some of the things that they might want to look for in the representative, in the model, when they're talking to that person? Obviously they're coming in with their realtor, because that's a big value. But what are some of the questions that they should be asking that maybe some people don't ask?
One of the bigger questions I think people should be asking right now is just builder policies, due to the huge shift in the market with all these sales happening and the pandemic. Everyone's doing things a little bit differently. It sounds silly, but a good question to ask is, can I just buy a house? Or are you doing a lottery process? Are there limited lots being sold in each community in a given month? If there's a wait list, how long is the wait list? Just so you can kind of plan your time accordingly. Build time would be another one. I can't tell you how often someone comes in my model and assumes our build time is 5 or 6 months, when I tell them, in this market you might be looking at a year. They're shocked, but I'm like, aren't you glad I told you that? Versus assuming.
Yeah, and it's really easy for someone to come into a model and say, sure, let me sign on the dotted line, and you're thinking, and under normal market conditions, 6-7 months is normal to build a home. Now all of a sudden, because of material shortages, because of labor shortages, and other factors that are building in, it's true. 12, 14 months is not unusual, so now's the time to think about it. Now let's talk about a big one. Now this is one that I know you have an advantage over some of your other builder competitors. Locking in pricing. So we talked about the build time being extended out. However, some builders are not locking in pricing because they're not locking in pricing until you're ready to dig. Now that could be an elongated time. Now I know that Rockford isn't doing that, right?
Yeah, that actually is a really big question to ask. Rockford is guaranteeing pricing, so whatever your base price is at the time you sign your contract, that's what it's going to be. Obviously, we are taking a little bit longer to build houses right now, like most builders, but at least at the end of the 12 to 14 months what price you're paying for the home, what you're getting in the home. You get to pick exactly what you want versus having to go in and completely redo a resale home or something like that.
Yeah. So you guys are locking it in. Again, this is just relating to a good question to ask. Is my pricing guaranteed? I know of another builder that they lock in pricing. To be dead honest with you, they're going to lose money on a house that they're building. But they hold themselves with high integrity. They're going to build the house and they're going to close on the house, and okay, they lost money on that build. It's just a fact of life. Now, related to that, let's talk about the way prices are moving. That is a constant question that I get. So it's like, so why don't I just wait until lumber prices come down? So tell us a little bit about the way your pricing has been working in the last few months.
We have seen a very big uptick in pricing just recently. In the past, we would normally take about a 1% price increase, usually every 2 to 3 months. Sometimes, like once in a while, every month back to back for 2 or 3 months, but that was on the more aggressive side. I will tell you, in the past 2 weeks, I want to say, I've taken 2% price increases, so 4% within the same month.
So in other words, if someone bought with you a month ago,
They're happy.
they're very happy because they just increased their equity by 4% in a couple of months. So let's relate to the person behind the camera. My assistant Sarah is going to be building a home, unfortunately not with Erin, but she's building with another builder. She locked in her pricing, it was roughly 3 months ago. And the pricing in her community where she's building, they don't even have their drawings back yet. But the pricing in that community is up about 5%. So before they've even stuck a shovel in the ground, she's made 5%. And you can't see it behind the camera, but Sarah right now is going, yes, okay? So that leads into the next item. This delayed build time actually is good for a value-conscious buyer. Number one, the building, we talked about the increase in values. Your existing home, if you have one to sell, you've got a little bit more time to get that house the way that it needs to be. And then when you put it on the market will have done its thing. Now, no one can ever guarantee the market, but that delayed build time gives you a little bit more time for your house to appreciate. It gives you a little bit more time to do the value adds to your home that normally, if you were on a 6-month build, you got to put your house on the market right away.
Exactly.
Where now, you've got a little bit more time before you have to put it on. Which brings me to a good point, a good question. Someone comes into the model and they've got a house to sell. What kind of policies, have you seen any changes in policies? And then what is the current policy with regard to home sale contingency? Meaning the contract is contingent on the house selling. You can always waive that, but what kind of policies are you currently seeing, and has that changed any?
Yeah, it's actually changed quite a bit just recently. We are no longer taking home sale contingencies like most builders. But that's not as big of a deal as it sounds like for most people, because if your contract is contingent on the sale of your existing home, that basically means you're going to have to sell your existing home and move into an apartment or a rental home, what have you, while the new house is being built. Anyway, in this market, it's pretty much the same situation. If you're going to sell your existing home in order to qualify for the new home, it's most likely going to sell in a matter of days versus, the 60 days that we used to give for a contingency.
So let's actually tear that apart a little bit. So Erin is absolutely correct. A lot of builders have gone to non-contingent home sale situations. Before, basically most builders, you had to have your home sold by drywall. Then they moved that back a little bit and they said you need your house sold by the time we dig the hole in the ground. Okay? Now there's no contingency. But let's talk about how that's a benefit to you. Before, in order to be compliant with your contract, you either had to sell the home before your existing home was done and then try to negotiate out some weirdo thing if you didn't want to move twice. When we were talking about home sale contingency at DIG, now you're talking about spending 6 months in an apartment, okay? And if you have a 140-pound dog like me, you're not looking forward to that at all, you know, let alone if someone has children or something like that. So, yes, you do have a little bit more risk because of the lack of the home sale contingency, which the only thing they're really risking is their deposit, correct?
Exactly.
Yeah, so you're not risking the whole price of the house. You're risking the amount that you put up for the deposit.
Mm-hmm.
But now all of a sudden you can make the decision to put your house on the market closer to the time your home is complete, which in a separate video we'll talk about how to gauge that. But long and the short, any good builder, once they get to drywall, they're going to be able to give you a pretty good timeline. So that's just the abbreviated version. Now you can wait until you're at trim. You can wait until you're at a more advanced stage. Then sell the home. Okay, so Erin, we've covered the overview. In additional videos, we'll talk about some of the more intricate parts of this. Any last wishes you have for the viewers?
Last wishes. Everyone should go out and build a new home.
There you go. There you go. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Hope you're enjoying these videos. If you do, like, share, subscribe, send it to all your friends.